This is an art and architectural monument that will be treasured for centuries by everyone who comes to it. The church really began with the installation of our third Bishop of Covington, Camillus Paul Maas, in 1885. And for the previous 20 years or so, there had been a need for a new cathedral. The old St. Mary's had been outgrown by the population growth of Covington, and it was also beginning to fall into some disrepair. So when Bishop Maas came in 1885, he had no money to build one, and there was none to be had anywhere. But he was determined. The need was growing pretty greatly, so that by 1890 he had already begun discussions with an architect by the name of Leon Coquard at a bad time, because in the early 1890s the country was hit by an economic crisis. And it's really a testament to Bishop Maas that he continued with his efforts anyway. As a historian and as a docent, the only way I can explain the moving ahead of this church at that time was it was an act of God. God wanted it here. And as you see, the result is just magnificent.
I think in the community at large, this cathedral has been a great sign of hope, a great sign that the Lord is interested in us. And it's a sign, a concrete sign literally of God's love for His people, His care for the world. It's a place that, you know, when one enters the cathedral, usually they're not looking at the ground. Their eyes go straight up. You know, they're with the immense beauty and sacred architecture that we have here. And that's what is supposed to happen to us when we come in, and we're supposed to lift our mind to the Lord, to lift up our hearts, to give ourselves to the Lord. And so this is a place where the community can do that, and it does stand as a prominent sign of hope for our area of the goodness of God and His blessings.
First time I walked in here was, I think, 2006. And like most people, my eyes just went to the ceiling and my mouth opened, and all that came out was an awe. And I knew I was home.
I think a lot of people are surprised that this beautiful cathedral is in Covington. It's not a nationally well-known city, it's kind of a small city. And that is the vision of Bishop Maas, the bishop who had the vision to build this beautiful cathedral and the courage to carry out that vision.
It's on the National Register of Historic Places. It does have the largest church stained glass window in the world and one of the largest stained glass windows in the world by its own right. I think it was a fellow by the name of Michael Sean Walters. He rated all the cathedrals in America, and he described this as the most beautiful in America. He said when you go into it, it's like waking up inside of a diamond.
All people are welcome to come to our cathedral, and I encourage them to come to make a visit. We live in a world that's troubled. We live in a world that has a lot of darkness in it. And so people need a place that they can go to commune with the Lord and to be with one another. And this is a great place for that to happen. The architecture, the craftsmanship, the beauty of this house, you know, is really easy to lift your spirits. And so I encourage all people to come make a visit, make a pilgrimage to our cathedral, and to, you know, allow grace to work in their hearts.
Like all Gothic cathedrals, it's unfinished and probably will never be finished. Like the journey of faith, you're never finished with it. So this is a symbol of, certainly within our own parish, the journey of faith. And for the community, it's a beacon to the poor and the suffering who come here frequently for assistance and for need and inspiration. Some people come here, they're spiritually devastated, And all we have to do is point them to the Blessed Sacrament Chapel. And they weep and they cry because they seem to have found something. So there's quite an impact that this structure has and the parish community itself has on the surrounding community, but also the greater Cincinnati community.
So as beautiful as and magnificent and stunning as our structure is, and its bricks and mortar and its stained glass and its architecture and the Stations of the Cross and everything that makes the cathedral what it is, it's the people whose faith it was built upon, and it continues to be built upon. You know, the people of God are considered living stones of God's home. You know, so without the faith of God's people, without people in here and their faith, it's just a building, it's just a museum, something to tour and walk in and out of, you know. So we're always conscious of that here, you know, at the cathedral, that it's the faith of God's people that have made this possible and that sustain this beautiful structure, hopefully for generations to come.